Madison, Gabriel. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm going to share screen. And this is sort of I had this uploaded from the last class. I had a few emails from people, and I figured it'd be better to just have a quick review or answer any questions on this, rather than so that everyone had kind of equal information, than sort of responding to each individual email. So I can say what one of the questions was about the lone chooser method of question 3. Well, actually, let me ask people that are here though first if they have particular questions they wanted to. I think someone actually corrected the correction that there was this thing about, yeah, all right. So this, I think I said 2 in this announcement, but this is the unanimous one, was the one where there was an error. I think when I wrote it, I changed the quota a couple of times, and I just overlooked that I was changing it, making it impossible. So sorry about that. So yeah, just everyone, don't worry about this part, this question. That's fine. But do 1 and 2 if you can. So does anyone who's here have a particular question they'd like to ask? I can try to address that first. If not, I'll look at what the emails were. All right. Okay, so 1 was about the lone chooser method of question 3. And it's asked if we had them divided fairly already for the lone divider example, can we just state that they would be chosen at random since they all have equal value? So what I want to see with, I guess I'm going to try to answer that question. So I do want to see sort of a different answer to C than I do with B. And in particular, I want to see people sort of work through it, work through the methods and, using each of the methods essentially. So, right. So if they're very different sorts of methods. So the first one, I mean, for a lone divider, that person's going to divide everything up into 3 bits at first. And then, then you have this person, then you have the two choosers go in and make bids. And, that's that method. Whereas for the lone chooser, you have sort of a first step, which is a fair division amongst the dividers first, and then they individually will make the divisions of their already divided pieces. So I just want to see that kind of process work out. I don't really care if it's the same result. That's not, but I want to see the process kind of gone through. I want the method to be used and shown that those 2 things are different. So hopefully I answered the question that I got from Jen on that.
What is that work from that's right there?
I'm sorry?
What is that work from that's right there? The little chart right here. What is that from?
This chart here.
Yeah.
This was from last lecture. Okay. On Friday. So on Friday we went over some stuff. It's I have a hard time remembering what happened Friday too, so it's okay. But yeah, it was. We did spend some time in class going over, I think, B, just an example of B, which and again I want people to do their own examples, so it's not. Yeah.
But we can make our own chart, kind of like similar to that one.
Well, I mean, I'd like you to make your own chart. So similar, I don't know. Just make your own chart. So one thing I said in class, and I'll repeat here, is these problems do well if the numbers that you have are nicely divisible by 3 and 4 and 2, because you're going to be making these divisions and then you're going to be dividing whatever values they are. So if you have good divisibility, you avoid fractions. And so that's something to try to probably put into your particular choice of how you want to set it up. But I don't want to see it like exactly what I did. Yeah. So maybe change things around a bit.
Right.
You can have it similar, but not too similar.
I got you.
I mean, the point is you could write in random values so long as, they added up to 100%, say, and you know how to do it. Like there's a method there. So I want to see that method more than numbers. So Jenna also had asked a question last week, which I'll try to answer, which said, well, she had also pointed out, I missed that she pointed out that there was a problem with this unanimous part for 2. So we'll give her credit for that. But yeah, so this method of markers, she had asked me to repeat how that worked, what the correct version of that was. So I'm going to go back to this kind of picture that I had and sort of, unfortunately, I lost my markers here. 1 second, lecture 40, I think had it, maybe. Uh-oh. Well, okay, I can just, sorry again, I'm just trying to, I'll just put it in, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So for the method of markers, the example I gave in class, we had like myself and my kids were dividing up some Skittles or something. And so let's see if I can, I'll just write down my markers. D for dad. Okay, so I have 2 markers. My son has 2 markers. And my daughter has 2 markers. So I'll label them J for Judah and B for Birdie. Okay, so these are the markers. And they're just where, so what do I do when I have a marker? I'm going to take my marker and put it where I think a fair division is. So this, for me, this is a fair amount. And then my next marker will cut out another fair amount. Let's say here. And my son will do the same. Maybe he'll do a better job than me, I don't know. And my daughter will do the same. So she does this. Okay. So her markers go here. So Birdie thinks, for example, this for Birdie is a fair amount. She puts the markers right where she's dividing, a fair share for her, from her perspective. And then Jude's, this is a fair amount. And for me, this is a fair amount. Okay, so that's the setup. And so how do we then, what does the method of markers do? So what you do is you're going to start at the left-hand side, say. Let's see if I can draw a rectangle real quick. It's not liking me. There we go. Okay, so we'll start at the left-hand side and we'll go up until we hit the first marker, which is mine. And then, okay, so now what we've done is we've sort of given a fair share. We've portioned out one fair share, and that's going to be given to me. And so now that we've given myself something, we'll take my markers and put them to the side. So I'm off the board. Then we go to the first of the second markers. So this is the first group of markers that Jude and Birdie laid down, and these are the second. So we go to the first of the second part, second lot. And so that for me, so the first of the second is Judah's. And so we've identified the first of the second. Now we want to give another fair share at this point. And what we do for that is, I had originally in the lecture incorrectly said you start here and go all the way to Jude. What you would do is you just start at where Jude's first marker is, and you go to his second marker. And that's a fair share for Jude. So now we'll take his markers off, and he's done. He's got a share. And then finally we go to, I mean, you can imagine the end is the first of the third markers, or you can just say, okay, well, in the last bit, we're going to start at Birdie's second marker and end at the end. And that will be a fair share for Birdie. We'll take her markers off. So this is how this works. And then we have these leftover pieces right here and here. And so those will just then get sort of randomly distributed amongst the players. Everyone has received a fair share, so you're done. But I mean, you're not done. Everyone's received a fair share, so everyone's happy, but then they get a little bonus. That's the point. So it's a fair division. So that's just a quick review. Are there questions about how that worked? Ellie, you came in late. Did you have any questions? Not late, but you know, came in after we started.
Sorry, my roommate just moved out, but no, I don't have any questions.
All right. As I was saying to them, I mean, I had like maybe 4 emails or so. And I'm just kind of going through what I had in those emails. Rather than sort of respond to people individually, I didn't want to give anyone kind of an extra bonus.
Is there a question like that on the exam?
What, the method of markers?
Yeah.
I think that's the last one of 3. So I say, so for no apparent reason, I line up the donuts in a random order. And I ask you just to draw a lineup, and so the point is, the method of markers, you need to sort of linearly order things.
Right. So
you can just draw some, draw circles, or you can just even do letters, of C, G, and S of chocolate glazed and sprinkles. You can just write them, I guess there are 18 of them. So write them in a row. And then the idea is, okay, so once you've set up your table, like let's say we were in this situation, you can kind of, I just want a rough, this is not going to be like perfect. I want you to kind of give a rough idea of where they might put their markers. So if you had like a lineup where you had, I mean, this is not very random. So let's make it a little more random. Something like this, right? Okay, so this is just the beginning. I guess you need, another 9 more or something like that. Well, in this lineup, you can see there are 3 chocolates here and a chocolate here. So in the beginning part, there's already a lot of chocolate. Now, normally there are 18 donuts, so you'd want to split them up evenly into 6 per person. right? If you like donuts, just period, you didn't care what kind they were, 6 a person sounds fair. So if you had someone like that, that's fine. But if we're looking at John, where John might put his marker, because he really likes chocolate donuts, is he might put his marker, here or something, right? Because even though there's only 5 or maybe 4, since he likes chocolate so much, he's already got, like, with these 3 donuts, that's already 30%. So that's already almost a fair share. So he probably would, do something like that. So that's what I'm looking for. Like, put your markers where, according to your table, it'd be reasonable for someone to put their markers. You don't have to be exactly right. I mean, I'm not going to be doing fractions, but I'll look at it and say, okay, that's about right. I mean, you can't. So this method of markers involved is assuming that things are really sort of fine grain, like it's that you're not dividing anything. You're not dividing any donut, for example, but you kind of imagine there's 1,000 donuts. It'll work best when there are 1,000 donuts or something like that. So this is just an approximation, what I'm looking for, where they put their markers. But it should be sort of, he shouldn't do something where it's like he puts 6 donuts here, right? If he did 6 donuts, that's, 2 glaze is 15%, or sorry, 2 glaze is 10%. 1 sprinkle is 2.5. So that would be 42.5%, which is a lot more than 33. Something like that. Does that make sense? Questions about it?
When you're, I guess I can probably figure that out. I just made my little chart or whatever. So when you're trying to figure out who the divider is there a certain way that tells you, or what is that?
No, it's random. I mean, so for the lone chooser and the lone divider methods, it's, it's maybe you roll a die or something like that to see. It's not like you can tell me who it is. You should tell me, though. You shouldn't just leave it. Don't leave too much of a mystery. Just say who it is.
All right. Scroll for division.
Hi, Christian. Anyone who has questions, you can feel free to throw one in.
Can we talk about plurality with elimination?
Plurality with elimination. Yeah. What do you want? What in particular are you thinking here? So maybe we could do it something like it for this guy here. I don't know. I don't. Okay. Yeah. Let's take.
That'd be helpful.
Sure. So plurality with elimination. So the way I presented it in class is a little different than the book. It's not, I mean, it's the same method, but it's, I just kind of, I like to think of it as a process. So if we had this, the way I want to think about it is so what you want to do is you want to determine your loser at each stage. So your loser is, for plurality, is going to be the person that when you look at their first place votes, they get the lowest amount. Okay. So lowest amount of first place votes is who for this schedule?
D.
D. So we say D loses. And because D loses, I'm going to eliminate D from consideration. When I eliminate D from consideration, I'm going to move up the candidates that had lower votes. We lose one player, so the preference idea is the preference ballots stay the same. I mean, if that person weren't in the race, you will assume that other people would still just rank the others as they did before. Well, I don't know if that's true, but maybe you assume it. And you get this new ballot. And so now we are going to look and ask the same kind of question: who loses this preference schedule? I don't know, I'd have to count. So, okay, so in this case, we have sort of a tie, a losing tie. So I'm not sure, I guess maybe we'd have to look at the second place in something like that if we were to. So of course, this stuff is up to you when you make your prep. So if you run into this situation, you're not sure what to do, you can always change your, you could hand over like 6 votes, you can, and maybe 9 votes to others. So you're in charge of coming up with a schedule that does maybe makes things easier. But in this, let's assume that we're in this case. So I believe what we do when we have a plurality tie situation for loser is we would look and see at second place who has the lowest number. And it looks like B has the lowest number of first and second place votes. So A and B are tied for losing, but B really loses in second place too. So I think B would lose here. So in that case, we're going to eliminate B again. We always eliminate the loser. And we'll move up the remaining candidates. So now we have a head-to-head situation. And so we should have a winner. Of course, again, if you have a tie, in this case, then I really would recommend you maybe fidget with your or fiddle with your numbers a little bit so you don't get in that situation. But here it's clear that C loses. So in particular, A wins. And if you want, you can write out the ranking here as A, ranking. A is first, C was a runner-up, so the second, and then B, and then D. Does that help, Madison?
Yeah.
Great. All right, guys. Other questions? I didn't want to keep you or give you any extra work. I just figured give you a little extra help if you need it. Okay. Well, I'll wish you all well, and I will grade these as they come in. I still have to I'll put up that participation grade. I'm sorry, I kind of got delayed on that. I'll put that up pretty soon. So you guys should all see where you stand on the grades. And I'll post this for the rest of the class. All right, guys, good luck. If there is any other questions, you can email me, and then I think I'll just respond to those. But yeah, try to do your best.